Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Growing Today. This edition is The Hidden Life of the Garden. Here with me is my panel that consists of Bob Dub, Mark Edworthy, and my brother Robert Hanson. Now he is having mic problems, so you're going to hear him through my mic. So Robert, if you get a chance, aim your voice towards me. That way freaking everybody can hear you a lot easier. I'll lift up my mic too, maybe that'll help where it can pick up on what you've got to say too. That sometimes helps. It makes it sound a little weird, but better than I have. So, with that being said, let's get on with the show. Sound good?
I can't hear you now, Roger. I'm sorry. But
You can't hear me at all? Oh, okay.
now I can.
So when I have it up, you can't hear
No,
me
I
at
got.
all? Okay, so with that being said, let me go ahead and get into the show. The first part, before we get into any conversation, I do want to say that tonight we're looking beyond what we can see from pollinators and plant chemistry to soil nutrients and native wild. We're exploring the hidden system that makes every successful garden possible. Now, with that being said, I'm going to start with what I usually do. I'm going to do the weather in my area, and I'm gonna give it a little extra time. I'm gonna see if I can get this done in 7 minutes, and we'll open this up so that everybody can have a conversation about the weather. So in West Frankfort and across southern Illinois right now, the rain percentages, probability of perception, basically, it's fluctuated significantly this week. Started with the standard summertime storm risks that have since dropped into dry, clear conditions. The rain percentage this week has been Sunday 40 to 50% chances of shower and thunderstorms. That's isolated, fast-moving storms that developed across southern Illinois during the late afternoon and evening. Now on Monday, we had 0% chance of rain. The day was completely dry, dominated by a heavy heat wave and blazing sunshine. Then on Tuesday, we had 0% chance of rain again, with clear skies and intense heat that continued across Franklin County, where I'm living. On Wednesday, we had 0 to 10% chance of rain. Now, this area actually was experiencing sunny and partly cloudy conditions that had a minimal risk of like a stray afternoon sprinkle. Now today we had 5% chance of rain, a slight moisture increase that brought a minor chance of isolated nighttime showers. That's going to bring isolated nighttime showers and thunderstorms. Now looking ahead for the weekend, rain chances are set to climb dramatically as the weekend approaches. A localized system moving from the west is expected to bump precipitation probabilities up to 35 to 75% on Friday, and up to 25 to 35% chance of rain by Saturday and Sunday, bringing much needed downpours to the region. West Frankfort right now is experiencing an intense heat wave this week, with afternoon peak temperatures pushing well into the 90s before a weekend cooling trend. The daily temperature breakdown is on Sunday it reached 90 degrees Fahrenheit with an overnight low of 71 degrees Fahrenheit. On Monday, we hit a peak high of 94 degrees Fahrenheit with a nighttime low of 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Then on Tuesday, we reached the week's peak high at 96 degrees Fahrenheit which dropped to 75 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. Now, Wednesday hovered at a high of 93 with an overnight low of 72 degrees Fahrenheit. And today, it was forecasted that the high is going to be, or was 87 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 69 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. Now, the upcoming rain system will bring a welcome break from the sweltering heat. Temperatures will begin to ease on Friday with a high of 79 degrees Fahrenheit before dropping down to comfortable highs in the low 70s on Saturday and Sunday. So now that I've gotten that done, and I hope that was actually within 8 minutes, I want to open it up to everybody and see what's going on weather-wise in your neck of the woods. So since we have Bob Dub from New Zealand here and Mark Edworthy from England, Devonshire, England, I'd like to see what your guys' weather is like. We started with Bob Dub last week. I want to start with Mark. Put him to some intellectual work this week first, and then let Bob Dub say what she's gonna say. So, how's the weather over in your neck of the woods, Mark?
I've been inside all week, with the exception of Wednesday, which I was out all afternoon. Since some data, it seems like we were averaging high of 25, 26 centigrade, which can do the maths. 25 centigrade, which would equate to 77 Fahrenheit, with a low of, generally speaking, 14 centigrade. So again, that'd be 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Yesterday, or Wednesday, it was fairly warm. It was a lot warmer actually, and as I said, I was out all afternoon, so outside all afternoon, and I did feel it about I don't know, 2ish in but 2 UTC, 2 p.m. UTC, and it was roughly around 28, 29 degrees centigrade. Again, that equating to 84, but they cooled down quite significantly later on in the afternoon, going down to 26, 25 centigrade. So yeah, it's been a fairly breezy and but warm, but not overly warm week at the moment. Humidity, looking at my area at midday for the last 5 days, around 84, 68, 47, it's all over the place. Roughly 50% average. So winds again for midday. Just doing a quick average. About 10 miles per hour. So it's been sort of warmish. But it's sort of because of the breeze, it's not really been that noticeable, not overly noticeable. So yeah, quite pleasant really.
It's good to hear. I heard too, like since we're getting our cool down, I found out from this global national weather has shifted from massive widespread heat into like a pattern of severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and tropical system threats here in the U.S. With the weather shifts. Now, the intense heat dome that affected the central U.S. last week is beginning to retreat, and the shift is creating like a ring of fire that affect in effect it's going to bring like a severe multi-day flood threats to the plains in the Midwest. So
Bob was just asked me before we started, and it looks like, judging from my forecast, we're expecting to see some rain on Tuesday.
have you guys had any? That's kind of what I was getting ready to get at. Are you guys looking at like any flood warnings or anything like that?
I think we've had local council hosepipe ban warnings and stuff. But I mean, people actually take notice of those things these days. But more sort of lack of water warnings.
We've actually had severe storms warnings and everything, and tornadoes here across the Midwest. It triggered confirmed tornadoes in Wisconsin, and then there was flash flooding in Chicago, in the Chicago area, which is north of us.
So like you're in sort of tornado central sort of in the US, aren't you? Yes, tornadoes are quite regular in your area.
Now, have you heard anything? Because in European, when it comes to the Europeans, they said that in contrast to the cooling rain that we're going to be getting in the U.S., Southern Europe has basically plunged into deeper, more extreme heat waves. Like they're talking about wildfires that have forced like thousands of people to evacuate from France and Spain.
Yeah, I was reading there's a, what was it, I think it was on Sunday, that southern France was suffering from a wildfire of Worcester City, Gainsborough, famous wine grown area.
It's supposed to be in parts of France and Spain, so that could be.
Yeah.
And then they also said like the temperatures in portions of the Mediterranean Sea has like spiked to 5 degrees Celsius or 9 degrees Celsius hot or Fahrenheit, hotter than what it normally is supposed to be. So
yeah, can't remember. Bordeaux, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Where I believe that the local city council were overreacting, suggesting possibly evacuating the entire city, even though it looked like they had it under control anyway. Yeah.
So now
I know this is a bit of a tangent, but I've been listening to the recent migration problem that Spain's had over the last week or so, and it seems like because of the hot weather, they've had a lot more migrants coming into Spain, and it was mainly due to the hot weather, shallow waters, calm waters, and obviously easier for them to come in from North Africa to Spain.
Before we move on to Bob Dub, there's one thing I wanted to point out too. Like the closest that we can come to in our area, the wood that could relate to that, is in the south. Like Tropical Storm Bertha, it formed and it made landfall in Louisiana. Now that drifted towards Texas, and it's dropping heavy coastal rain across the Gulf. now, and I've been keeping up on that whole wildfire thing that was supposed to happen in Canada, and we've had no effects here. Everybody keeps talking about it, but we've had no actual effects. And the wildfire smoke, which was supposed to originate from Canada and Minnesota, is pushed deeper into the eastern U.S. according to what the news is saying.
Again, same with Spain. I'm thinking a lot of it is a lot of mainstream media scaremongering.
Yeah. Now, what was you saying?
New York and some other states up there, they have what you call think of people that have
Quality.
breathing. Yeah, they gave them, told them to have to stay in longer and all that, and they'll go notify people, have them come up and get them.
Yeah, and that when I did my check on it, I noticed like in the northern part of Vermont is where they showed like there was actually issues with quality of breathing. So I did not. You heard all that, right?
Just barely, but yeah, we talking about this a couple of days in one of our chats last session.
Yeah, that's what it was. So with that, let's move on to New Zealand.
New Zealand is very, very cold and very, very wet at the moment. We have today at the moment it's 58 degrees F, and the maximum is going to be 61. It's rained for the last week. It's very, very wet and cold. There's some blue out there today, but there's a lot of cloud. The winds are at 12 miles an hour. Humidity is 72%. And we're expecting this to be the last day of rainfall and for there to be a dry spell until Friday, I think, from here. And the maximum temperature that we're expecting over that dry spell is going to be 59 degrees. So midwinter and cold and wet.
58 degrees, 60 degrees is 14 to 16 Celsius centigrade. So it's
Yes.
relatively okay, warmish. It's not. Well,
We're in the North
Okay,
Island. Yes.
Yeah.
So we're in the North Island. That's our maximum. At 4 p.m. today, it's going to be 10 degrees, and overnight it's 4 degrees. Oh, whoa, hold on. It goes down to 3 degrees at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, yeah, it's chilly, but it's not
Yeah,
South
yeah.
Island. South Island, I think they went down to the minuses last week.
Well,
But the southerly winds have only just come up here, so we're going to have nice, fine days, not rainy days, but very cold. We're expecting overnights of 0 and 1 degrees next week. It's interesting how it keeps on getting colder here over the winter. I've always thought that midwinter should be the coldest, right? And then you should start warming up. But no, you keep on getting colder and colder and colder right until the very last day. And
So Robert wants to know: is there any black ice and stuff? That's
not where I am. Not where I am. Very occasionally, they get black ice down in the South Island, the south of the South Island, on very, very cold, clear days. But in the whole time that I've been in New Zealand, I've encountered one, that's 20 years, I've encountered one black ice. So not really in urban areas. Not really in urban areas.
So
obviously, if it's urban areas, then you've got things like council-driven sort of grit and salted sort of.
Not that I've
ideas,
encountered.
grit in the roads and stuff. Okay.
No, they don't really do that. People use chains here if they're going up into the mountains, into the snowy areas. But you see, it's very moderated by the sea. So we get the warmer, especially up here in North Island, we get the warmer currents from the equator coming down. Yeah,
So,
you're blocked from those currents by Europe mostly, I think. You in Britain.
with that, that's actually a good chance for us to get into the second block of the stuff that I wanted to get into. Moving on from weather, I want to start talking about the next part of this. This has to do with soil moisture, and it also has to do with the environmental factors and soil health. And I know that sounds weird, but this kind of goes into what we've been talking about with like weather relief. Now, like I said, recent blistering heat waves that have been going across like the central U.S. initially caused some concern, okay? But with the extended weather models from the University of Illinois' Farm Dock, there's indications that temperatures are moderately back to normal averages. That mitigating crop stress during these critical reproduction phases. So the thing about it is like farmers right now are actively scouting for tar spot outbreaks in Corn County. Fungicide spraying by tractors and agricultural drones has ramped up too to protect potential high yield fields. Now, soil conditions right now remain normal with normal or as close to healthy across central and southern Illinois. But this is actually a sharp contrast to like the Dakotas, which are experiencing severe dryness, in parts of Missouri and Iowa, which are actually enjoying excellent soil moisture reserves. Okay. Now, changes from last week, according to global and national weather, like I said, it's the weather has shifted from a massive widespread heat wave into like a pattern of severe thunderstorms. All right. And then I was also brought up like the stuff that happened down in southern Europe when it comes to France and Spain. Now, according to like the current growing conditions here across Illinois and like the broader Midwest, the current agricultural growing conditions are generally strong and robust, with a lot of the crops advancing rapidly despite recent weather changes. Okay, Midwest crops, when it comes to corn maturity, according to the latest USDA crop progress report, it says that approximately 86% of Illinois' corn has reached the silking stage, and early planting corn is already transitioning into the R2 blister and the R3 dough stages. And when it comes to soybeans are highly healthy and moving quickly, with 81% blooming statewide and roughly half of the fields actively setting pods. And the weird part is like with the winter wheat, they're actually being harvested across Illinois, and it's virtually complete. They're wrapping up at like 90% completion. It's a 98% completion rate with favorable final yield reports. So that was what I wanted to get out there, and I wanted to transition this to eventually the main topic. But
just before you continue, just an observation I've made over the last week or so. Obviously, I don't take very much notice in crops personally, but just a observation I made. It seems like blackberries in this country, or down where I am, are ripening earlier than I would expect. Usually, I would have wait at least another month before seeing decent blackberries, but come across 2-3 different patches in last week, in completely different areas. They seem to be extremely ripe. Not tasted them, but they seem to be extremely ripe.
I agree. That's what I noticed too. Is like, even though we're having all these crazy weather patterns, the heat and the storms and the tornadoes and stuff, the crops are actually doing fairly well in my area. I mean, really well. What?
I mean, wild berries. I'm not actually talking about actual farmed blackberries. I'm just talking about blackberries.
Well, it's still
in
important.
hedgerows and stuff.
It's still important.
Yeah.
I wish I could still find blackberries growing wild in my area. We haven't had that happening since at least the 80s and the 90s, and this is actually blackberry territory.
Okay, I know in a lot of states, blackberries are still legal, aren't they? Because of the damage they were doing into I think, was it elm trees?
See,
Back in the 50s?
I don't think there's
It was a ban in several states.
I don't think that it's possible to make blackberries illegal.
Okay.
You can make them a noxious herb, I think. You
Robert
can make them a noxious plant.
Robert said a lot of people around here would get shot if they did that.
Yes, probably.
So, yeah. So with that being said, I'm gonna do a transition. Okay, by saying this, weather doesn't just affect us; it influences every pollinator, every flower, and every crop in our gardens. So, rather than me, going through every science topic today, I'm going to focus on a certain part because last week was pretty hectic and it was too technical and too advanced for Mr. Edworthy because he's more into the computer science and he doesn't realize how technical and advanced farmers are. Okay, so
I do understand, but yeah, I don't
we're going to break this
go
down.
out to touch grass often.
Okay. So we're going to break this down, okay? And first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with pollination around the world. And today I'm going to cover the basics. This is sea level versus elevation, okay? And elevation versus how I'm going to do this is sea level versus mountain gardens, okay? So that we can kind of open that up because this is what the main topic is going to be about. Okay, so growing plants at sea level versus high altitude mountains creates entirely different gardening environments. All right, elevation changes everything from atmospheric pressure to how water behaves. And I've pulled up some examples for you. Like a mountain gardens, which is high altitude gardens, they have shorter seasons. They have shorter frost-free windows that compress growing schedules. They also have intense sunlight. Okay, thinner air increases burning UV ray exposure, and then you have rapid evaporation, where low atmospheric pressure dries out soil quickly. On top of that, you have chilly nights. Temperatures drop fast when the sun sets in mountain gardens. After that, since we're talking about chilly nights, we also have to talk about the boiling point. Now, water boils cooler, altering home preservation timing. That's what you get when it comes to mountain gardening at high altitudes. Okay, so with that being, after that I'm going to go and I'm going to do, this is my second example, which is for like sea level gardening, which is low altitude. Now that has long seasons, which extends warm periods and allows for slow maturing crops. Okay. But that involves dense air, which is a thicker atmosphere, which filters out harsh UV rays. On top of that, you have high humidity, and that's heavy air that traps moisture and it slows evaporation. And of course, with this comes warmer nights, and that's where coastal air retains heat through the evening. Okay. Now, this brings up what they call soil salinity. Okay, where coastal areas have to combat like salty soil winds. Now, with those examples being said, I wanted to go into plant adaptation and selection. Okay, with the mountain choices of what you're wanting to use for a garden, it's most they suggest is like root crops, also leafy greens, and native perennials, because they thrive mostly in mountain gardens. Now, with sea level gardens, the best choices that's been suggested is like heat-loving nightshades and melons and tropicals. That's what flourishes the most when it comes to sea levels. And the reason for this is because of structural differences. Like mountain plants grow compact to resist wind. Okay, where with sea level gardens, they freaking require high disease resistance, and that's because of fungal risks that take place. So different latitudes also is another thing, that they receive different amounts of daylight through the season. So that's something that you have to keep into consideration too, like your seasonal timing. With mountain gardens, which is a high altitude and shorter seasons, you have shorter frost-free windows, like I said earlier. Okay, and then at sea level gardens, which is low level, you have the extended warm periods that allow for slow maturing crops. So when it comes to all that, all I'm basically saying is, understand what your day lengths are, and also understand if you're in a shorter growing season or if you have a longer growing season. So longer summer days usually means that, mountain gardens technically have a longer season day, but they receive less usable sunlight overall due to the physical terrain blockages. The altitude, which is in effect, it's actually an astronomical daylight is what they refer to it as. Now, with that you get earlier sunrise and a later sunset. That's because a mountain sits at a higher elevation and its horizon is physically lower. This allows a mountain garden to peek over the curvature of the earth and see the sun a few minutes before the sea level does. On a perfectly flat and isolated peak, you gain roughly 1 minute of extra daylight per 1,000 feet of elevation at both sunrise and sunset. So there's also a mountain paradox, which is actual daylight. Now, while the astronomical day length is longer on a mountain peak, the reality for a mountain garden is usually the opposite. Most mountain gardens are located on slopes or in valleys. Surrounding peaks and tall ridges block the sun early in the morning and late in the afternoon, cutting the actual hours of direct sunlight significantly. Also, high elevations experience rapid afternoon cooling, which cause moisture to condense into clouds or storms by mid-afternoon, which blocks out the summer sun too. So latitude matters more, basically. So while altitude alters day lengths by just a few minutes, latitude is the true driving factor. Any garden, whether at sea level or on a mountain located further north in the northern hemisphere, will have dramatically longer summer days than a garden located further south. For example, a sea level garden in Chicago, Illinois will have much longer summer days than a high altitude mountain garden in Quito, Ecuador, simply due to its distance from the equator. So, right there, I wanted to stop and see if anybody actually wanted to say something about that. If not, I'll go forward.
Like um, I get watched it on the internet where people that live up high up, Korea has that where people lived up high up and all that. They had to process the land. Like what you see is too is what you call like moisture turns into like clouds, blocks the sun, and the temperature is totally different from like 50 to 100 feet. It was people getting sick from two different types of climate, farther down and what's up high up, and the oxygen of the plants. I don't know how that works, but the plant, how does the plant breathe less oxygen? You know, the higher you go up, the amount for the plant of oxygen, the process.
Okay. Did you guys hear that?
Do you want to summarize? I just only heard every word.
Well, hopefully it came out on the stream. I'm hoping it did. Did you hear any of that, Bob Dub?
Yeah, just give us a summary of what's said.
I couldn't give you a summary of that, to be honest with you. Like I was sitting there trying to turn my head so that he could freaking talk, and so hopefully, yeah, this whole mic thing is an issue that I'll pick up here in a little bit. But hopefully we got that on the stream.
Okay.
I was checking with OBS and it sounded like his voice was coming through good. So if not, I can make sure that it sounds high
Yeah,
enough.
you can boost it on the edits.
The big thing that he was talking about was like for me, what I took from it, I can say it the best way I can, is like on longer summer days. Now, longer summer days can increase photosynthesis, and it also supports longer pollinators' foraging periods. That's something that I wanted to point out. And it also influences like flower timing. You know what I mean? Now, on cooler nights, this is where the mountain gardening, which is high altitudes, which is what Robert was talking about. That's something that really sticks out to me. Like with the chilly nights, temperatures drop really fast when the sun sets. You know what I mean? And like on the coastal air, with the coastal gardens, and that's within the warm nights basically, and that retains heat basically through the evenings. That's something that I think should be important to remember. And another thing I want to point out too, and this is for people who are in my region, but everybody should remember this, is like frost dates, okay? Now, frost dates is very important, especially for people in my region right now, because this is, if you're into like, and you're wanting to do like a fall garden, or you're wanting to grow in the fall, you need to be doing it right now, because you have winter frost, which is coming, and there's no way to avoid that unless you're wanting to do growing during the winter time, which some people do. But if you're not able to do that, you don't know how to do that, then you need to have your timing set to where your gardening is growing right now, because if not, the frost is going to come before your freaking your garden's fully ready to be picked, and you're going to lose a lot of things. So keep your frost dates. The most important one to me personally is the winter one. It's important to know the spring one the most, but the winter frost is very important because you have to have your timing set perfectly for when you want to start a freaking autumn garden or a fall garden, whichever one you want to call it. And a wind exposure. That's something else that I do want to cover too. But do you guys have anything to say about frost dates?
Presume you could control that by using, I don't know, heated polytunnels or heated glass houses or something. And obviously, wind sort of the wind issue, you can sort of deal with that depending on where you are, depending on area, walls and stuff.
Now, later on, I want to get into more in depth when it comes to transitions, because transitioning plants, a lot of people like to transition them from the outside to inside. I do want to cover that because that's very important. Me and Robert used to talk about that a lot. My sister doesn't believe in it, but I believe in it 100%. Like, you have to freaking slowly transition your plants from outside to inside, and there's a certain method that you have to do, and we can cover that later. But I did want to point out frost dates because that's very important right now, especially because right now is when people should be doing their fall gardening. So I mean, right now, you know what I mean? So, the one thing about...
Do you have a greenhouse or... Yeah, I'm just curious, do you use a greenhouse or polytunnels or...
Well, with the animal problems we've been having, we're going to have to do that when we start our gardens up in the spring next year, just because of it. And wind especially, too. Like, I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but there has been some serious differences in the way the wind behaves. And I would go as far as back as maybe in the last 5-6 years. Like it's literally causing damage.
Yeah. Low air is not compared to high air because there's no trees, no nothing. But the higher you go up, the more damage. Like up in the mountains and all that will cause far more damage to a garden than a low garden.
Mm-hmm. Agree. So, oh, you're muted, Bob Dub. You're Bob.
Is Robert saying that the winds blow stronger higher up?
Yes.
Which is an interesting thing, because I don't know that if that's... I certainly think that it's colder higher up, and so your wind chill factor would be worse, but I don't know if your speed would be affected by altitude, because the speed of the wind is affected by the high pressure and low pressure areas, and the difference between the high pressure and the low pressure causes the speed which the wind moves from area to area. So it's interesting that those fluctuations in high pressure and low pressure areas could be growing, because that's one of the main dangers, I think, of climate change, is that we for the last 5,000 years have been on a very, very mild, if you look back through hundreds of thousands of years, you see very dramatic weather fluctuations in the Earth record. But the last 5,000 years has been very, very mild. If we go back to a time where we have big weather fluctuations, that's very difficult for people because you can't really learn how to adjust. You have to be ready for everything. snow in winter and burning heat in summer.
Now,
So that's
They
possibly the biggest danger that we might face if we have sustained climate change, but nobody knows that yet.
I
now,
was going to say sustained, yeah, because it's with it's with remembering the mini ice age that happened in Northern Europe in the 18th century.
now, with the Ice Age and stuff like that, I do want to point out that Robert has been wanting to do a show that talks about extreme cold weathers as well as like plants that's been introduced to radiation. We won't do it on here because this is garden oriented. You know what I mean? So we're gonna, but I do think it's a good idea that I do want to make a stream up with them on it. So we can do that on a different one. But like with the wind exposure, it is a critical factor because it directly controls the plant's structure, its strength. You have moisture loss and overall growth rate. Okay, now like when you take a look at like a gentle breeze, it stimulates a plant to grow stronger. Excessive winds, exposure to excessive winds acts like a severe environment stressor that can stun or even kill a plant. Now, when it comes to how wind modifies plant growth, you have to look at things like structural dwarfism. Plants heavily exposed to wind produce shorter, thicker stems and smaller leaves that reduce physical resistance. Desiccation, which is drying out. When wind accelerates transpiration, I think is that what they call it. Yeah, it's stripping moisture from leaf surfaces faster than roots can absorb it from the soil. So that makes it to where you have those issues, but then you have microclimate cooling, which is constant airflow that lowers the ambient temperature right around the leaf surface, and that can delay fruit ripening in cool climates. And that's not even mentioning soil erosion. Okay, like unchecked wind dries out the topsoil, blowing away like fine organic matter and exposing delicate surface roots, stuff like that. So you have a lot of stuff like that going on. That creates physical damage. You know what I mean? So high winds cause snapping. It causes lodging, which is flattening the crops. And then you have flower drop, which completely ruins fruit production. So those are all the things that you have to worry about when it comes to like wind exposure. And like I said, just for me, in the last 5-6 years, maybe a little bit longer, I've been noticing an increase in the wind and how much it is actually causing these kind of damages. Not only to, like, today it seems like almost impossible to grow a good garden without doing it in a greenhouse, like Mark said. Just being serious.
Yes, I think that I can't see how gardening can go forward without incorporating technology into its process. It seems counterintuitive to me that we would bring technology into all walks of life except our garden. It just doesn't seem logical. I think that it used to be terribly, terribly important what your climate was and where your rain fell and where your fertile soils were. But now that we live in this technological planet, all these things can be constructed, can be made. Winds can be dealt with, like Mark said, with having greenhouses or wind barriers or all these things. So I feel that it's a real important thing for people who interact with nature to realize that we're entering a technological era of nature modification. And the consequences of that are unknown, as with everything mankind has tried.
Depends on what you mean by technology, and also depends on your own what you're aiming to do. I mean, if a small garden that's just got a few roses and whatever, it's not going to implement, I don't know, drones and
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, it used to be that these things, this technology, was confined to laboratories. But now anybody can buy a soil pH test. Anybody can buy a small home drip irrigation system. These things are now available so that you don't have to be at the mercy of your local weather. You can add extra water. You can add, all sorts of monitoring systems. And you can program them yourselves. You don't need to get a technician in to do some fancy installation stuff, because it's been made user-friendly with the advent of the LLMs.
Now, with that being said, I've got a time limit here, so let me finish off on this part by adding into that native pollinators matter. Okay, honeybees are important, but many crops also depend on the benefit from native pollinators. Not going to go into the details behind them, but here's some examples of it. It's mason bees, leafcutter bees, mining bees, carpenter bees, hoverflies, butterflies, and beetles. There's certain bird species, such as the hummingbirds in the Americas, that are important. Now, different regions have different native pollinator communities, which can influence which plants thrive and which ones don't. So remember that. Native pollinators do matter. Now, with that, we are coming to Pollination Corner. Now, Robert's starting to talk to me about weird stuff back behind me, so I need to showcase Austin's freaking stuff for you guys, so you can see his cool vegetables and stuff. So let me see if I can pull this up real quick and be able to share it with you guys, because this is pictures that he shared with us on Discord, which I am going to now show on the stream, so that we can get an idea of what's going on there, and you guys can have some comments on it before we end the show. I'm getting them now, so be patient with me. So here we go. Let me down. Can you guys see that?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so make sure I got it on the stream so that people can see it real quick as well. Oh, okay, yeah, we have that available. And can you see it now that I switched it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he has right there. And that is his 2 photos of the biggest squash he's ever grown so far, picked just yesterday. And he picked that.
What size? What's that? That was
15 feet.
16 inches.
Yeah,
With
16.
centimeters.
inches. And
Uh-huh.
this one says that it is 4 inches across, 16 by 4 inches. Pretty good. And here is a picture for you of all these right here. Can you see that one where it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the big one's got that
3,
large
4.
dark
Yeah.
yellow color to it,
yeah.
better than what the other two have. It gets bigger and wider, it gets a little bit more darker.
Yeah. So we've got those. This is the garden he picked it from right here.
Hmm.
I believe that is all of them. So yeah, there we go. Now
Cool.
one that is from Austin Todd in Iowa. I believe it is. Isn't it Iowa
Yeah. If I remember right, you know. Yeah.
or Ohio?
Hmm.
Cincinnati, Ohio. So it's in Ohio. He's
Okay. Yeah.
he's in Ohio. Summertime is his mom. I told her that she needs to volunteer some gardening stuff too, because everybody in Idaho should be, or Ohio should be growing a garden. It just seems natural, So let me see here. I'm gonna see what else we have. Yeah, I just wanted to showcase the giant squash, the zucchini harvest, and the garden pictures. Now, anything on there that you guys noticed that you want to talk about? What advice, or you have any advice that you want to give?
Again, I don't grow anything, so I'm not really the best person to ask on this one.
It's like I said too, with before, I'm going to mention it again. I'm going to invite anybody who's watching or wants to participate in the show to submit photos for future episodes. If you have photos that you wish for us to share on the stream, we'd be more than happy to do that. And this actually is the time when I was going to ask questions, open up a open discussion, but we've actually had a pretty good freaking discussion so far. I don't think that, and plus with Robert with his mic messing up, this would have been a good time for him to speak a little bit more. We'll get that straightened out. Next week we'll be diving into plant chemistry. That's going to be plant chemistry nectar. We're also going to be talking about floral oils, essential oils. We're also going to be talking about pollen, calcium, magnesium, and how plants communicate with pollinators. This is all the good stuff that Robert likes to talk about. So I guarantee you we need to have this open up, because he's probably going to go crazy if he's not going to be able to be a part of that one.
Right. I got a question to that. What do they do with if there's more male flowers than females? Do they not clip all, but they just eliminate some of the males for the females to produce better crops?
That would actually be a good question. I'll find out. I've never really explored that. Have you guys ever heard anything about that? It's Bob Dub.
Sorry,
Sorry,
what
I
was the
didn't hear
question?
the question.
If there's more females or males when it comes to plants, do they usually eliminate a certain amount of females or
No, males.
Interesting.
males? I've never really.
A farmer
Yeah,
or
Yeah.
nature?
Well,
Just-
farmers.
a farmer. Yeah, farmer.
Farmers definitely will have less males than females
On the plants.
on the plants.
Yeah, there-
I suppose
Well,
it depends on the plant.
Depends.
What plant specific, what crop
Yeah.
specifically.
Hmm.
So I will do some more research into that. and we will be back with more interesting topics, and we were lucky enough to survive this with Robert's mic being messed up. And we will talk to you guys later. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, share, make comments down in the comment section, and we will respond to you. Thank you, Mark and Bob Dub, for being here. Before we leave, would you be willing to give your socials so people know how to get in touch with you? Start with you, Bob Dub.
Absolutely. Anybody who wants to get in touch with me can find me on minds.com or on the Swarm Space. So it's swarm-space.lovable.app. That's where I am. Thanks, Roger.
Sorry, under what usernames?
Bob Dub.
What user? Yeah, Bob.
Bob Dub. Bob Dub. I even have a banner for my token market now.
Right on. So, what about you, Mr. Edworthy?
Yeah, as for me, just mainly minds.com under username Medworthy.
Okay, and you can find me and Robert at minds.com, Roger_Hansen. You can also find us on Element Matrix at Roger's Hangout, as well as on the Quantum Gathering and on Infinite Imaginarium on Elements Matrix as well. I am also on Teams at Roger's Hangout. You can find me there. If you want to contact me on there too, and you are legitimate and you want to talk to me, leave a message, because if you don't, I will delete you. I just do not like spam, and I don't trust it when people send me messages on Teams. Other than that, you can check us out on YouTube and on Rumble at Roger Hansen's Earth. I believe that's what I changed it to. But you can find us out there, or you can find me on Kick and Twitch as well at Roger_Hansen on Kick and Infamous 1969 at Twitch. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we will end this show. Thank you. Bye.